All right, well, we're recording, so let's do it.
Oh,
Hey, so welcome back to the mini moment segment, where we chew on some topics and kind of share our thoughts. And yeah, you guys should email me at jadonalive@gmail.com. Would love to read your thoughts if you have any to accompany this episode. Today's mini moment segment takes place on the first day of fall, and I have been a bit in my own world lately and realized, like, oh, today's fall. Whoops, I should probably text Bailey to see if she can still get on hella last minute. And she was able to. So, grateful for you. So yeah, we have our recurring guest, Bailey Sims, licensed mental health counselor, on for this season's shift. And we're just gonna kind of jump right into things. But before that, Bailey, welcome. You're still amidst your workday. How are you?
good. I've been loving spontaneity lately, so this was great. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm good. I got time. And I don't have to overthink it. So I'm happy to be here. And I've been thinking a lot about fall, so ready to talk about it.
Well, what have your fall thoughts been?
Well, I didn't plan on returning to work on the first day of fall. I should totally say I did, but I didn't. It was unplanned. And I thought how special and how like fitting for the season that like I would just find myself, like stumbling into my first day of week work, coming out of maternity leave and getting to like celebrate with it also being the first day of fall. And here in Indiana, it was really rainy and it just felt very like chilly and wet and like fall like. And I don't know, it just felt like a welcome back to work. So that's kind of how I've been thinking about fall. I just got back to work after taking about 3 months off. So.
Jeez. No, I was thinking the same thing. Like when Daniel and I were doing some chores this morning, Daniel's my husband, and I was like, it's a little chillier finally, it's rainy, and it's the first day of fall. I love when the physical weather matches like the actual seasonal shift. I feel like that's kind of rare. Like it doesn't happen very often. So today it felt even more intentional to transition mentally because of that shift.
Yeah,
So,
and
y- oh, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, you and I went to, an apple orchard on Saturday, like, this fun fall activity, and we were, like, sweating our butts off. It was so
Oh, it
hot.
was literally like pushing 90, and I was like dead.
Did not feel like fall. So, yeah, today was very welcome.
And so you spoke to it a little bit. You're returning back to work from maternity leave. You haven't mentioned it, but you're working from a new setting. So what does this time of year look like for you, and how does it kind of correlate to the season shift?
Yeah. Yeah, I always talk about how, like, every shift into a new season has its own, like, turbulence and, like, it feels very like, "Ooh, we're in transition." But especially I feel like spring and fall, they're, like, extra transition-y. I don't know, like, it truly feels like moving from summer to fall. I mean, September, October, the winds pick up, the leaves are falling, it can feel disorienting, like, it feels like extra for me anyway, it has felt extra, like, discombobulating a little bit, just like, "Woo, we're shifting down, but it's going really fast, and what is the weather?" Um, and so that's kind of how it's felt, like, being on maternity leave and having a newborn and a toddler, my brain kind of being mush. I'm taking some good postpartum vitamins, though, so I'm feeling a little bit better. But just kind of, like, hit the ground running with work. Today this week is, like, from 0 right? Like, there's no, like, transition into it, so it felt very, like, jumping right in, um, which I feel like sometimes fall feels that way because it's a very like, social, community-oriented, like,
Yeah.
school's back in session and, like, all these changes, and you're preparing for the holidays. So for me, it's felt a lot like that. I've had the benefit of, like, having a slower time during maternity leave to kind of prepare for it, more so than in the past, but there was still a lot of things that, like, I couldn't get to until I started back at work, and so my to-do list, is still just, like, a whirlwind, but, yeah, I'm in my new office. It's a tiny house in the woods, and it's a dream come true, so It's been a great first day back, and I get to watch the leaves fall, and it's gonna look so beautiful out here.
Yeah. No, when I think about the first day of fall and it's like your setting is kind of perfectly um matched with the kind of friction of like needing to go 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 because you're in a place that I feel like kind of slows your mind down and reminds you of, purpose and the outdoors and connecting to yourself and the environment, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, the rain this morning on the roof, like, during a client session, I was like, "Wow, couldn't ask." Like, I always talk about nature being co-therapist, but it's really great when you can actually, like, feel nature being co-therapist. It was like the rain was like, "Calm.
Yeah.
Slow down."
Uh I love that, and for folks like me who, I'm not working from as scenic of a place, so I'm, like, always trying to since I do work from home too, though, trying to, like, find a window always, like, if I'm not by a window, I'm unwell, so always trying to find a window. I try to, like, raise up the blind so I can kind of look out and, um, peek out here and there. Our days are so busy lately because our toddler only does half days at school and is deciding to not nap as much as he used to, and we're potty training.
My god.
So it's chaotic and stressful, and we're managing it, but not I wouldn't say managing it well. So I am excited about this time because I feel like I've already been in the slowest pace of my life maybe for various reasons. And so having the weather match the slowness feels a little less daunting than like when summer is here and I feel like, I could be doing 50 things when I'm like sitting on the couch eating and recuperating. And so now I'm like, oh, it's fall. This is like appropriate. Sweet. So many football games to watch. So that feels really nice. And that's been for me, I feel like my life is finally matching the season, and I feel grateful for that. But also, we went to the apple orchard. I'm trying to actually prepare for Halloween this year because last year just kind of showed up and
Huh.
so trying to get a couple different things in order, but still at the heart of everything, trying to keep the pace I'm at internally, really not rush it. Again, didn't plan super in advance for this, but look at us recording and it's fine. And so I was telling Bailey I was chatting with the tarot reader like the other day because I was like, oh, just, read some cards, tell me about my life. And one of the things she said was to stop overexerting myself in this time, like to do what I can do and to not overdo it. And she was like, it was about my career, but I loop like the podcast in with that because it's all work. And
Mhm.
so when she said that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to stress about like doing everything the way I would normally want. And even if my biweekly pace gets off a little, like just trying to be more patient with all of it. And that was really encouraging. I haven't even updated you on all that, but
I
that's a
know, I
piece of
still
it.
need the full story there. Yeah, that's awesome. I was thinking about probably when we it's probably back in last year's fall equinox podcast, but I will never forget this little squirrel that I saw one fall, like, gathering nuts. I was like, "What?" Maybe just every season feels, like, juxtaposed or has its own unique dichotomy or something because I feel like fall is a very, like you said, busy time, like, there's, like, so many things going on all the time, and finding your own pace is so important, but I also feel like it's, like, a celebratory time, so you're both, like,
Yeah.
harvesting your garden's worth of stuff. It's, like, coming together for Halloween and Thanksgiving or however you may or may not do that holiday, and, like, there's, like, feast and celebration and community, but there's also this, like, preparatory in our case, preparing for the holidays, but, like, the squirrel was preparing for hibernation and, like,
Yeah.
some nuts, so it feels like both, yeah, celebratory and busy and preparatory at the same time is kind of how I've experienced fall as well. Um, I need to do a bit more reflecting for me in what ways that's showing up right now, but yeah.
I
Mhm.
feel like the theme of holding multiple things at once is there, like in what you were saying. Like
Mhm.
We could take cues from the squirrels and, they're prepping to hibernate. Like, how can we prep to hibernate? That's one of the things as lots of transitioning is happening, with Daniel and I, like, okay, how do I still set up the podcast so I can be like in and out but not stressed with it?
Yeah.
And how, both of us will potentially look for new roles soon. So how do we like do that in a way where we won't be exhausted and prep for the
Mm.
holidays now so like by the time it comes, we've got our plans set. Like
Yeah.
doing it in a way where we can prep so things are mostly, figured out so we can just kind of enjoy it and rest in it versus like, what's the holiday season?
Yeah.
Um, which I feel like opposed to anyway for the most part lately, but preparing in advance is just not always something I do when I'm really tired and have a lot going on. And so because of just how slow our pace of life has been lately, it's kind of helpful for stuff like that because I actually have the mental space for it. The energy, maybe not so much, but taking it just one step at a time is helpful with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that, like, committing to the pace that feels best for you allows you then to prepare in advance so you're not stressed and in a frenzy. Like, all of it just kind of, like, self-regulates. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's sustainability. It's like a
Yeah.
it can go on. It's sustained because we're honoring the pace we need and still getting things done. We're just, like, moving nice and slow and not like yeah, chicken with its head cut off or whatever that saying is.
And what are some activities for you that do kind of welcome, like, embracing the fall, but aren't necessarily like, nah, feeding into the chaoticness
Uh,
of the holidays and all that stuff? Because what, fall will be September? Oh, no, yeah, fall will be through, winter is halfway through December. So
yeah,
September, October, November, December.
yeah. I definitely think I'll kind of speak to it in 2 ways. One is more like as a member of this society and a consumer and someone who participates in these holidays. And then on one note, like, maybe more nature-based, spiritual, intuitive. So to the first one, I feel like beginning to think about, like you said, Halloween costumes. Like, how can I make that a fun, enjoyable, month-long process that isn't stressful? So I also have been thinking about that. Like, okay, maybe we'll do this. And then, like, one little task to complete it by Halloween and it's done, right? Like, just like a drawn out sort of slow build to that. But even then, like in October, I start thinking about Christmas gifts because I'm trying to like do homemade gifts or more intentional, like not just an Amazon order or like something somebody
Yeah.
doesn't even want or need. And so beginning to think about that all ahead of time, I think that those are some logistics that's helped me navigate the holidays. And
Yeah.
also checking in with like, how do I want to show up in a way that's in alignment with my values? Like, I don't, yeah, if something's not important, I don't want to just do it because that's what we do as a family unit or a culture. Like, really owning my values and letting that be, you know, portrayed in how I give gifts or how I show up to certain things, certain holidays this time of year and family gatherings. The more intuitive, like more spiritual or nature connected side of it, something we started doing as a family, as soon as it was chilly, there was like a chilly week before it got hot again, like a
Yeah.
pre-fall.
Loved that week.
We were waking up at like 7:30 and just going outside and making a fire, and my
Mm.
toddler would eat s'mores, and so that was kind of funny. Breakfast s'mores, but like lighting a fire or sitting out and drinking your coffee or something. We just redid our bedroom window thing and moved a desk, and now we have like a bench with a bunch of plants on it, and I like light a candle and sit by my plants and stretch, and it's darker out earlier in the morning, so I just kind of like honor the dawn. I'm normally not awake at dawn, but as it gets darker in the morning, I
Yeah.
am. Um, yeah, and I think a big one too is like celebrating and finding your community where you can. And so, um one year, it was like the year we were gonna move. We didn't know we were moving when we planned it, but by the time we hosted it, we also had to tell all our neighbors we were moving, but we hosted like a harvest dinner on our driveway and invited like the surrounding, like direct neighbors over for dinner. And I loved that because people brought tomatoes from their garden and we had herbs from our garden and like got to know our neighbors in that way. It was really fun. There's so many ways I could keep going, but I'm going to pause for a second.
No, I like that you said like just doing what fits and doing what feels right. And also I like your rituals. I feel like you're always so good at finding ways to slow down and like take a breath and feel yourself. And um that's really nice. That's something, again, after talking to the tarot reader, she kept mentioning a theme of like me believing in myself more. And I was like, I was perplexed by that because I'm like, I feel like I do. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no, like, do I have a blind spot? Like, do I not? Um, but then as I was talking with Daniel, I'm like, people who believe in themselves show up specifically in the work context in a certain way. And this is just kind of a side note, but it just kind of reminded me of, that specific context for me. And Daniel kind of said, like, yeah, outside of your podcast being like your personal work, you've kind of given up on like your career in philanthropy and all of that. It seems like you got discouraged and you kind of just like moved along. And um, so I think for me, just kind of doing more reflection on my belief in myself in that regard
Mhm.
and trying to, you know, dig a little deeper in this season. I feel like that's something we talked about last year. Like it's darker. Typically you're in your house more. It's cooler. And so you end up, just thinking more and reflecting more. And so for me, trying to be a bit more intentional on like, why did I give up? And do I believe I can do this? And what does that look like? And just kind of the hard questions.
Yeah.
I don't know I would have like thought about thinking of this season.
Yeah.
So I have some prompts, some mental prompts. For us, we watch a ton of football in this house, so that's what we'll also be doing. Um, I am not sure I'll have the energy to I usually try to do like a lot of baking and a lot of just like celebrating within the home, like getting the advent calendar like prepped ready and the Halloween costumes, like trying to make it so giving
Well,
time for that and like just preparing for a lot, but we will probably not do some of those things just to kind of like relax, and take it easy a bit more. But yeah, whatever it is for you, just being this is something I feel like Bailey and I say every season, but just like consciously entering this new season, whatever that is, for me, it's like reflecting with my prompts and trying to relax and maybe do a couple things for the holidays. Bailey mentioned hers, but like whatever that looks like for you, just consciously doing it, not just letting the season and the day and the weeks just like pass you by and you're like, oh, it's December. What, I didn't even realize. And just trying to live with intention there.
yeah. When you said ritual too, and I might have said this before in a different episode, but I like to think of ritual as like adult play. Like I think there's a
I
playfulness
love that.
to ritual that we can forget. Like I think sometimes ritual gets connected to like very religious or spiritual, like it has to be done a
Yeah.
certain way. But
Yeah.
I don't know when you think about it, like when you said baking, I was like, oh yeah, every Friday I watch Great British Baking Show and I bake whatever theme it is. I bake something, and I've never done that
Dude, I
before.
need to be invited over.
I mean, yeah, come over
I
this Friday.
I slay the baking.
It's caramel week though. I've never done caramel, so you have to help me. Yeah. Anyway, that I'm just now thinking, and we've talked about this too, like retroactively applying like meaning to something that we didn't really intend at the moment, but like, why can't we do that? And so now I'm thinking, like, yeah, me choosing to watch Great British Baking Show with such intention in baking a themed
Yeah.
dish, I'm like, that could be a ritual to fall.
Yeah.
I think I'm honoring it, right? Like, it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be anything wild. It can totally be easy and fun and playful.
Yeah. I love that, and we can kind of, like, transition. I, every season, watched the Food Network, championship, like, either bake-off or cook-offs. I watched the kid version, and I watched the adult version. So Halloween is on right now, but I love the fall one, and I love the holiday one, so that's a great reminder. It's so fun. It brings me so much joy.
Yes, I love that.
So we'll definitely be doing that again this year. So thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, yeah.
But before we kind of transition out of here,
Yeah.
anything you've got going on with mind, body, nature counseling this fall that people can maybe like check out or tune into before we hop out of here?
Yeah. I just created a mini guidebook series. So I have like my 60-page Exploring the Mind Body Connection guidebook, and it's like super great and I love it. And it's also 60 pages. And I was like, what if people don't want to do 60 pages? What if they want something more bite sized? And so I created 4 different mini guides that kind of take the mind, body, nature pillars into their own little, mini guidebooks. They're like 12 to 15 pages each. So those are free and ready. Um, and there's more to come, but I'm not ready to announce it yet. So stay tuned. Sign up for my newsletter and you'll
Ooh.
find out sooner than later.
Yeah, I will attach your newsletter, website, and socials so you guys will have that. But outside of that, Bailey, thank you so much for this last minute yes. Last minute yeses, maybe that's also something we keep in mind. Last minute yeses, guys. Let's stay loosey goosey this fall and say yes to things. And I'm say yes to things you want to do. But outside of that, thanks again, Bailey, for being on.
Yeah.
And let's move on.